So the top one talks about advantages, the bottom one limitations. Give me a green check when you guys have read all the way through failure to perform proper data conversion. So just checking again, then I'm missing the following people. Cornelius Bryant is still missing. Ernesto is still missing. Brianna Johnson is still missing. Javier Lau, still missing. Luis Vesquez is also missing. And that's it. Everybody else who joined late, I marked you present. Okay, so let me move on to implementing ERP systems. When you're implementing an ERP systems, you have many ways of doing it. One of the ways would be to take an on-premise approach. Within the on-premise approach, you can either take a vanilla approach where a company implements a standard ERP package. And when they implement a standard ERP package, they use a lot of built-in configurations. And they use whatever the software comes with, and then they live with it, they play with it, they stay within the bounds. The other approach of on-premise solution would be to ask the vendor to create a custom solution for them. So that's a custom approach where they can customize it. Another approach is the best of breed approach. This approach combines the benefits of the two while avoiding the extensive cost and risks of complete customization. So companies that adopt this approach mix and match. They will take some things at the core level and not customize it, and other items that they think needs to be tweaked a little bit, they will customize those. So it's all some standard and some add-ons. Then software as a service is another ERP implementation besides on-premise, that you go out to the corporations and you say, okay, do you sell an ERP solution? So companies can acquire these systems without having to buy the complete software solution. They can take components of those and implement it. And this is all cloud-based. You don't even have to have it installed on the local computers. It's all maintained by somebody else. You just take the service from them. And based on your usage, the charges will be more or less. And again, you know, there are a lot of supporters for that. And one of them could be Salesforce. Yep. And there are many players in this. To run SAP on-premise, a company must purchase a SAP software as well as a license to use SAP or SAP. The magnitude of this investment can hinder small to medium-sized businesses, so they're better off going with some as a service, software as a service approach. Enterprise application integration. So for some organizations, integrated ERP systems are not appropriate. It means you cannot just make ERP part of your existing infrastructure. This is particularly true for companies that find the process of converting from their existing system to the other system, which may require a lot of work. So such companies, however, may still have isolated information systems that need to be connected with one another. To accomplish this, these companies can use enterprise application integration approach. So this approach, also called EAI, enterprise application integration, it integrates existing systems with whatever you want to integrate with by using some bridges in the middle, which are called the middlewares. So that's a different market altogether. You know, some companies exist in industry only for the sole purpose because they create middlewares. I remember when IBM was modernizing, IBM was here and IBM was trying to sell some solutions over here. And then there were companies that came in between to create a middleware for the solution. For example, IBM wanted businesses to be able to take the IBM technologies on iPads. Now, IBM doesn't build iPad solutions. IBM build IBM solutions. And then these IBM shops don't have Swift developers. Even if you hire a Swift developer, how many different kinds of developers would you need? You will also need an Android developer. Then you would have to train them on the IBM system. Then you have to make them understand how you talk from Android or Apple to the IBM technologies. I mean, for those of you who are taking IBM Enterprise Concepts class, you know, somebody coming from Windows experience, years of Windows experience, and they'll look at this and like, wow, that's different, right? So instead of doing all that, these middleware companies came up with tools These tools will do the job for you. On one end, they will connect you to the RPG code that runs in the back end. You do not need to understand RPG to be able to do this. And then the tool will generate, based on the underlying technologies, a front end for different application or different environments. It will generate the front end. So you probably may be using an iPad app, but behind the scene is running RPG code in a couple tiers laid down, and that RPG code is talking to the IBM server for its needs, which could be storing data in physical files, reading it from a physical file, running logical files, maybe databases, what and what not. So those kind of people came in between. So some of those products, for example, Valence. Valence was one of the application that came out, which was giving this cool look and feel to the IBM environment. When you go into advanced RPG with Alan Pearson in 4th semester, I think he talks about one of those tools. I don't remember if it is Valence. If it's not Valence, it is, maybe it's a different tool. I forgot the name of the tool. But anyway. So those kind of things, you know, the middlewares are always there, and it's the whole market out there. Then section 10.4 talk about ERP support for business processes. In particular, ERP systems manage end-to-end cross-departmental processes. A cross-departmental process is the one that originates in one department and ends in a different department, or originates and ends in the same department but involves other departments. So those kind of items do require ERP support. So here is an example. A procurement process which originates in the warehouse department and ends in the accounting department. So there's a need to buy to sending a payment. Or the fulfillment process, which originates in the sales department, which is on customers' request to buy stuff, and ends in the accounting department where we receive the payment. Or the production process, which originates and ends in the warehouse department, however, requires the production department's help as well. The other components, you know. So these three processes are examined in more detail in the following section. The procurement process originates when a company needs to acquire goods or services from external sources, and it concludes when the company receives and pays for them. The order fulfillment process, in contrast to procurement, in which the company purchases goods from a vendor, in the order fulfillment process, also known as the order to cash process, the company sells goods to a customer. It's a slightly different approach. Fulfillment originates when the company receives a customer order and it concludes when the company receives a payment from the customer. So that's the order fulfillment process, from making an order to receiving everything back. Okay. And the production process does not occur in all companies because not all companies produce goods. In fact, many companies limit their activities to buying and selling products. So those are the three different areas that are being talked about here under the ERP support for business processes. So companies use ERP systems to manage procurement, fulfillment, and production because these systems track all of the events that occur within each process. So it's all about being able to see what's going on. And that's why you're paying the big bucks to the ERP system. Interorganizational processes, ERPs also work with supply chain management, which is SCM, and CRM, which is customer relationship management. That will be our focus for our second chapter for tonight as we wrap up the first chapter. So you can find more details, but we will be going over more details on this in chapter number 11. ERP supply chain management systems have the capability to place automatic requests to buy fresh perishable products from suppliers in real time. ERP CRM systems also benefit businesses by generating forecasting analysis of product consumption. For example, how many automobiles to produce this year? That needs forecasting, right? How many printer papers to produce in the first batch? The number of printer papers you want to produce in January will be very different from the number of printer papers you want to produce in, let's say, June. And why is that? Why is that? January versus June. How is it different?
Demand is lower during winter.
What is lower?
The demand for
The demand for papers is lower. There are many factors if you look around. For example, if you look at it from the school education's perspective, when do you buy more stuff for school? Over the summer, or in January, or February, or March?
The time of the year makes a difference in sales for sure, in just about any company.
Exactly. So
in winter, things are usually a lot slower.
Depending on the industry, if you are in Midwest and you are in winter salt business,
Yeah. Although the last few winters have not been great for.
So that you probably by this time you want to start producing stuff. So how do these salt producing winter salt producing companies forecast? They are heavily dependent on the meteorologists, right? And based on those, they sign contracts with cities. For example, the city of Kenosha has signed a contract with one or more winter salt people, like corporations, which would provide them the winter salt for the whole winter. Now, if they will need all that salt or not, we don't know. It all depends on the winter. If I am in catch-up business, okay, so the number of bottles I need to produce is dependent on which raw material. Which raw material? Tomatoes, of course. So if tomatoes production went down by 30% in a given year, I'm not getting as many tomatoes as I usually get. So I need to figure out some ways of producing enough to meet some market demand, if not all. And then the economists will come into play and say, okay, increase the price of the commodities to control the market. And sometimes you notice that different goods, the prices go up or down at different time in the year. Have you ever noticed that the milk is slightly expensive in winter than summer? Especially in Midwest, because there's an additive cost of running the heating in the farms. So they have to weigh that cost into the price. Overall, those kind of products price goes slightly higher in wintertime, and then it normalizes in summer. Gasoline prices went down to less than $1 a gallon when the COVID was on peak. And then due to the changes in the world, due to war and stuff like that, the same gas was over $5. And then it normalized it to a number which is still a little bit higher than what it was before, but lower than what it got to. So the forecasting does help businesses figure out how they will run themselves on day-to-day basis. Okay, with that, I want you all to go down to the closing case, Olive Garden, and read the closing case. And then when you're done reading the Olive Garden closing case, give me a green check. That's page 336, by the way. And whenever you are done reading the business case, write your response to question number 1 in the chat. When you're done reading, write your response for question number 1 in the chat. Ethan, that's page 337. Awesome. So all of you who have posted their responses in the chat, right in dot. So it's basically, it's all about being able to give more security to the information that is being kept on the Olive Garden's end, and be able to serve people faster in proper sequence. And the floor staff should rather concentrate more on the service than having to worry about these other things. So that was the whole point of providing them with this additional layer. Now we'll move on to chapter number 11, which is CRM and SCM, supply chain management and customer relationship management. Supply chain management and customer relationship management are put together in this one chapter because businesses on one end want to maintain good relationship with customers, serve their needs, turn them into returning customers, and add to the loyalty of the customer. And on the other hand, we have the supply chain management, where you have the continuous supply of goods coming in based on which you're running your business. Those could be in the form of raw material that are coming in, you're producing products on them, or they are the actual finished goods that you are selling through your supply, through your customer relationship. So those are the main components of this chapter. It defines the CRM, operational CRM, other types of CRM, and then supply chain and supply chain management, and finally closes out with information technology support for the supply chain management. These are the learning objectives of this chapter to identify the primary functions of both customer relationship management and collaborative CRM strategies, how businesses might use applications for each of the two major components of CRM, and explain the advantages and disadvantages of mobile CRM, on-demand CRM, open source CRM, social CRM, and real-time CRM systems. Describe the three components and the three flows of supply chain, identify popular strategies to solving different challenges of supply chain, and explain the utility of each of the three major technologies that support supply chain. Moving on to page number 338, which is the introduction. Now, learning about the FAIS system, learning about the ERP systems, and the transaction processing system in chapter number 10 give you some foundation to working with or understanding your CRM and SCM. So organizations are emphasizing on a customer-centric approach. Why? Because customers have choices. The market is customer-driven. When the market is customer-driven, you need to bend over and make changes so that you do not lose the customer. For example, let's take an example of the automobile market. In automobile market, is it customer-driven or is it not customer-driven?
100% customer-driven.
Right now, in current situation.
The automobile service?
No, automobile industry, like you want to go and buy new cars.
I would still say it's customer-driven.
But the problem is we have a supply chain issue.
Oh.
Big time supply chain issue. So the dealership is actually charging $2,000 to $4,000 on top of the market price. And this is, we're talking about, we're not talking about the upper class cars. We're not talking about Cadillacs. We're not talking about Benz or BMW. For them, it is 5,000 to 10,000, in some cases 15,000 on top of the MSRP. And they are calling it market adjustment. That's
yeah, I suppose my car is still worth almost as much as I paid for it 4 years ago.
So yeah, that's another thing, you know, because of the supply chain issue, the older cars market have gone up, but the problem is you are now buying a little bit of an older car for the price of a new car that you used to pay before. So there is a serious issue there. It's not customer driven. Rather, it is the business driven industry right now because of the supply chain issue.
Tell Angela, Maseratis and Corvettes, the price don't really go down, so her car won't lose value.
I don't have anything like that.
Oh, she has Bugatti.
Bugatti.
That's right. That's right. And Ducati.
You know what a brakes job costs on a Bugatti? It's almost $50,000 to do a brake job.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I mean, anyway, so now moving on to some of the important components of defining the customer relationship management. Before the supermarkets and mall and the automobile and all of that good stuff that we purchase and enjoy these days, right? Things used to be in the neighborhood stores. It wasn't customer driven environment because you can only buy what your neighborhood shop is willing to sell you. And when you go to the neighborhood shop and say, I need XYZ, they're like, no, we're out of it. And you don't have an option. You got to wait till they get it. And if they get less of it, they probably will charge you a little bit extra and you don't have a choice. There's no alternate. You get to get it at the price that they're giving it to you, or don't buy it. But things have changed. We have so many choices. Now think about it. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, okay, Thanksgiving shopping versus now. Day and night difference. Day and night difference. People are technologically equipped, far more options available. A lot of people, especially in Midwest and West Coast on the northern end, East Coast on the northern end, would prefer to buy from the convenience of their home rather than standing outside in cold. There's still people out there who would go out and buy stuff in that weather condition, but overall there is a split. The number of people that would go out when that option was not there versus now, there's a difference in percentage. Plus, from the convenience of your home, you could open like 5 different stores selling the same stuff and you can do a price compare. Even if you don't want to do that, there are software that will do that for you. So here you go, Angela, absolutely. Not now, but many, many years ago, I remember going to Louisiana, small town Slidell. Oh my God. People had all the time in the world you can think about. And I was there on a business trip from Chicago. And Chicago and Slidell, oh my God, it's just like day and night difference. So absolutely, absolutely. I remember pulling my car in a gas station to fill up gas, and the gas stations, like where the pumps are installed, the road was just pebbles. It was, it wasn't even concrete, nothing. It was just pebbles. And then the pumps were all manual. Those manual old times, those stickers, they didn't even have glass on those stickers, right? So those stickers would tick, and then you fill up the gas, you go inside, and then you say, I fill up the gas for $20. And they trust you. There is no way for them to come out and check. But right from the inside, they would check. $20 is $20. That's it. That's how things work. I'm pretty sure it's different now versus many years ago when I went there. But that's how the life was there. And I'm pretty sure there are small towns where life is not very different. they don't have the conveniences that we do. They still don't have state-of-the-art internet connections. I mean, think about it. I mean, like some of us, even in these times, living in cities, struggle to have a continuous bandwidth connection for a Zoom class. I mean, people living out in Burlington, people living out in small towns, even in the Tri-County area where we are, we have problems. Internet connection problem, accessibility of high-end stores problems. Many, many issues. And if you go further down, you know, in the central Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, things get very, very different. So of course, you know, so customers in some markets, bigger markets, have a lot of choices. And those are the markets which we want to tap into, because a lot of the customers in those markets are the buyers. They're in the buying habit, they have the power, they have the money, they are in the spending habit, and they spend in big volumes. If 50,000 people buy $500 worth of stuff, that is still a lot more than a town of 2,000 people, where only 10 of them will make that kind of a purchase. So of course, that's a market. So the CRM has become even more impersonal with the rapid growth of internet, and the customer loyalties have shifted so much. I remember back in 1990s, okay, not 1890s, by the way, 1990s, okay? People were like, if you still remember, Sears. People were like Sears fans. They're like, they will buy from Sears. That's it. They wouldn't buy from any place else. My uncle was one of them. Every time we talked to him, he's like, oh, buy it from Sears. I'd be like, really? That's the only store you go to? He said, yeah. I get all from there. Say it again?
Tools and all.
Tools and all, right? Clothes, everything, you know, your appliances, you name it. You get it from that one store. Similarly, I remember there used to be Marshall Field in Chicago. If you guys remember that, Marshall Field, which was taken over by Macy's. Oh my God, at that time of purchase, people in Chicago, they came on streets and they were like, no, Marshall Field is the legacy of the city of Chicago. We cannot let a New York-based company take that legacy away from us. It's crazy. So people have this loyalty. People had this loyalty to businesses. Now they don't. Most of them are like, wherever I get the good deal, I'll just get it from there. I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be a business called Linen and Things.
I think I remember.
Linen and Things was.
And you making up names, man. What's going on here?
Well, my mom and my sister would have been into.
Linen and Things was a much better place to buy than Bed Bath & Beyond. And you would find all sorts of stuff at Linen and Things that you wouldn't even, I mean, like Bed Bath & Beyond wouldn't even come close. But over the period of time, Linen and Things lost its touch, and Bed Bath & Beyond just took over the market. And over the period of time, they dwindled and died out.
Do you think that's just because it was a new name, fresh, like a fresh name brand on things, and or that
I
it
didn't
just
do
too
any
much?
case studies on him, but Bed Bath & Beyond, first of all, did not have a wide spectrum of products to start with. Linen and Things had a lot of the products. So if only 20% of their products are getting sold and 80% are not, that's a much bigger hit. Then Bed Bath & Beyond, 20% products are getting sold and 80% are not.
Okay.
Linen and Things had a much bigger setup than Bed Bath & Beyond. And they were a little bit more pricey because they had higher end stuff. I mean, the kind of curtains you would find in Linen and Things, Bed Bath & Beyond still doesn't sell them. still. So just to give you some examples. And then some of the other people that went in that market, like JCPenney, went in the curtains market, some businesses like custom curtains and custom blinds, and similarly, similar kind of businesses who have entered into other markets have disturbed these specialized stores. So where people are in the habit of, I'll just buy it from it. Now think about it. How many people go to Walgreens and while they're waiting for their medication to be, their order to be filled, they do grocery shopping there.
I love Walgreens, but I'm not gonna do my grocery shopping there.
But they do. They buy cereal from there. They buy milk from there. They buy cookies from there. They buy chocolates from there, without
Such a
realizing.
price markup.
Without realizing that they have spent $100 on stuff that was worth $65 or $70 if they would have just gone to Pick and Save, or maybe Woodman's, or maybe Myers. But they don't think like that. To them, convenience is what they're looking at. I'm not going to Myers. Why would I want to drive to Myers? I'm here, I'm waiting, I'll purchase. So different approaches the customers have. So how can you get into the customer's head? How can you make them come to your store? Those are some of the tricks the CRM system does. You can see some of these items here in this diagram, which talks about we have high value repeat customers. We have low value repeat customers. Businesses keep track of them. And in some cases, personalized emails are sent based on the buying habits. But these customers may or may not be loyal, right? But then we have loyal repeat customers. Then we have customers in general. And then we have potential customers. So the businesses have to work on these tiers. On top of that, customers who are lost. Now, as we close our books, or the businesses close their books by the end of this year, and they want to see through the reports, how do we do this year versus last? A lot of the businesses are actually not comparing themselves with 2021 or 2020. Some of them are actually going back to 2018 and then coming to 22. Why do you think that is?
Because of the pandemic and the drastic changes that it caused for such a long period of time.
Because of pandemic, pandemic years were different,
I think a lot of people made a lot of money in the pandemic and a lot of people didn't. So if I'm a business that's comparing my business like that and really flourish around in a pandemic, I can't compare that to any of my normal years that I have, because it would be completely one-sided. And there's no way you can match that now, because when pandemic first came out, everybody was like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. Everybody's gonna die if they get this virus. And now it's like, you got COVID, oh well, like it's not really that big of a deal anyway. So it feels like a normal flu, to be honest. It wasn't that bad when I got it. Mine's lasted 2 days and I was back on my feet like nothing happened.
So I mean, more knowledge about the disease and stuff like that, more vaccinations, medications out there, things have eased down, but the buying habits and the selling habits have changed drastically. We have so many people, now we're talking about why we see so many hiring everywhere. I think we talked about that, right? Last time. Why everywhere we go, we are hiring. And is it like people not coming back to work?
Well, you get a lot of government assistance now, and then I mean, even though the pay rate is higher, a lot of people got comfortable not doing anything and realize that they could live that way, so they don't want to like.
And I would say that there's a factor too, that a lot of the baby boomers are at an age where they're looking at retiring, and just the fact that the population that exists of the baby boomers versus the population in the younger workforce is so vastly different.
Absolutely. That is another big factor, that baby boomers never produced enough babies to replace them.
They didn't. They didn't.
So that is the problem. That's why baby boomers are going out the window. And a lot of these baby boomers are also taking early retirement. Some of them took retirement during COVID. Some of them are retiring right after COVID. Some of them are in the works of getting retired. So in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you will see a lot of retirements, but there aren't enough warm bodies to replace them. So as a result, everywhere you go, it's hiring. Until and unless US does was what Canada did in 90s, bring in a mass immigration in different areas where there is job opportunity and fill it up with the foreign bodies, because we don't have enough. So it's all about, you know, how things will execute moving forward. But according to the researchers, you will continue to see the rising "we are hiring" signs because of that reason. So coming down to the customer touch points, customers interact with businesses on different areas with smartphones, call centers, internet, in person, whatever, you know, several different ways customers are interacting with us. And all of those touch points are generating data. And all that data is flowing back into our system. As a result, we need to be intelligently figuring out what needs to be stored and how it needs to be stored. We have brick and mortar businesses, we have online businesses under the same umbrella, or one business completely online, one business completely brick and mortar, and then you have this tug of war going on. Some businesses have kept themselves brick and mortar, but have given us the convenience of an online shopping. For example, Woodman's. Woodman's gives you 2 options, right? One, you order and you can pick up your items in a drive-through. And I think there's a convenience fee of $10 or $5. I don't know, whatever that is. And then the other option is you make an order and then they will drop it off at your home at a convenience fee. However, I was looking at the pricing on their app versus the pricing in store. All items are slightly expensive in an online app compared to an in-store. So they are charging a bit of a money on these items. On top of that, there is a delivery fee or a convenience fee. So overall, people are paying more money and getting convenience. That's it. You know, people are okay. Some people are okay with that, the convenience. So there's a total shift in some people's life. They don't want to step foot in the store when they don't need to. Some people have switched to, what are those frozen food trucks that go around, right? And deliver your...
The Swan's Man.
Say it again?
The Swan's Man.
Yeah, and the pea pods.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some people have switched to that. Some people have switched to Amazon grocery. I mean, people have done all sorts of things to their convenience, and they have adjusted their life accordingly. So data consolidation, which is a critical component of organization CRM, it is basically the organization system of CRM system must manage customer data effectively. In the past, the data could have been in a special place. Nobody can access it but those who are responsible for the data. But a lot of the departments now share information, at least whatever is needed, so that they can do their job. Consequently, data for individual customers was difficult to share across the various functional areas, which with the help of ERP systems is becoming a lot better. And then there is another concept of what we call, in chapter 5, we learn about this data warehousing, which is basically the complete data set on each customer, which is a 360-degree view of the customer. So that's another very important component for data consolidation. And the collaborative CRM systems provide effective and efficient interactive communication with customers throughout the entire organization. So that's another component. Then operational customer relationship management system, which supports the front office business processes. And front office processes are those that directly interact with the customer. So for example, you coming or you walking in to the Gateway Student Services, now that would be our front office process. You wouldn't go to HR, that will be a back-end process, right? Back office process. So those are the kind of things of point of contact for customers. Similarly, customer-facing applications. In customer-facing CRM apps, an organization's sales, field service, and customer interaction center representative interact directly with customers. These applications include customer service and support, Salesforce automation, marketing, and campaign management. For example, if somebody goes to gtc.edu main page, okay, you see this leave a message, right? Because now nobody's sitting there. Usually a person pops up there during normal business hours and willing to talk, right? And then you can communicate with that person. So those kind of little things that were never even considered to be part of a website. We were expected to give a phone number and an email, and somebody will call, set up an appointment, and show up, or email. So things are changing. Now, Salesforce automation is the component of operational CRM system that automatically records all of the components in a sales transaction process. So Salesforce automation system includes a contact management system which tracks all communications between the company and the customer, the purpose of each communication, any necessary follow-up. And we see that in some cases. For example, there are times when I am chatting with the customer service representatives from different companies, and at the end of the conversation, I get the entire transcript of our communication via email. Do you think they wouldn't keep a copy of it? Definitely, for training purposes or whatever. Similarly, moving on to the campaign management, which is management applications help organizations plan campaigns that send the right messages to the right people through the right channel. And that's a difficult thing, especially in these times. How can you figure out what is the right channel to communicate with, let's say, you guys, you know? All of you have different right channels where you, if communicated through that channel, you respond better. And businesses cannot do that kind of customization to go to each individual level. They say they are trying, but it's so difficult. So they go and pick the most famous approaches, and that's how they try to. A lot of the email is not always, at least in these times, a lot of the times it ends up in junk mail, or you're just browsing through it and you're like, oh, who cares? Okay. So they've taken that approach. They've taken sending you text message approach. Businesses would take your phone and will send you the phone number, will send you text messages about sales with a tiny URL that you can click on, would send you coupons in mail, or now there is this GPS based apps, location-based apps, where if you're driving in the vicinity of a store, things start popping up. I mean, all sorts of stuff, businesses have done. Another thing businesses have done, especially their sales and marketing teams, that there are some software out there that people can install on their computers, and they can go to the stores and they can browse the products. As they scan the barcodes of these products, they get points. When they've accumulated enough points, they can cash out a gift card. So to cash out the gift card, people go around, scan products. When they're scanning products, they're learning about those new products. And it may happen so that some of them may purchase those, or at least may recommend those products to somebody that may need them. So different ways people have taken for getting to the customers. So customers touching application, right? That's how you want to get to the customer. Most of the customers are electronic customers. At least in the next few years, more and more people you will find with the electronic customer approach than now. Okay. Search and comparison capabilities, a lot of them offer that. Technical and other information and services, most of them offer that. Customized products and services, not all of them, but some of them offer that. And then personalized web pages. Now, some of them offer, very few of them offer that. For example, American Airlines generates personalized web pages for each of its registered travel planning customers. Okay. Then you have FAQs page, you have email and automated responses, you have loyalty programs. Now, for example, here in Wisconsin, here in Kenosha, here in Racine or Elkhorn, can you think of a business that has a loyalty program?
Walgreens.
Say it again.
Walgreens.
Walgreens has a loyalty program. CVS has a loyalty program. Pick and Save has a loyalty program. Myers has a loyalty program. And some loyalty programs are paid, like Costco and Sam's Club. So they force you to be loyal. And once you have paid the money, you're like, I should go and shop there because I've already paid. And then they give you a percentage back of your transactions. That's another thing that you look, oh, okay, I'm going to get X percentage back of whatever I spent in the loyalty program. So there are a lot of catches in that regard. So loyalty programs is another way. Analytical CRM provide business intelligence by analyzing customer behavior and perceptions. So for example, analytical CRM systems typically provide information concerning customer requests and transaction, as well as customer responses to the organization's marketing, sales, and service initiatives. So it basically helps you analyze your customer. Again, the details of that will be in chapter number 12. Moving on to the other types of CRM, we have on-demand CRM as one of them, where the CRM may be implemented as either on-premise or on-demand. So businesses would ask other businesses to come and implement an on-premise, which is the traditional approach of the CRM. And that's one approach, like Salesforce or Babson and stuff. And then mobile CRM is an interactive system that enables an organization to conduct communications related to sales, marketing, and customer service activities through a mobile medium. So that's another solution out there. And then we have open source solutions, which allow you to get an open source software and customize it, like Sugar CRM, for example. Moving on to social CRM, page 549, is the use of social media technology and services to enable organizations to engage their customers in a collaborative conversation in order to provide mutually beneficial value in a trusted and transparent manner. Now, there are some new starters. I've seen some of them on TikTok. And they are banking on this to launch their products. So, you know, people are at smaller scale, at least, are utilizing some of this. Okay. Social media also providing methods that customers are using to obtain faster, better customer service. A corporate manager was in meeting all day and he had to take a later flight home that caused him to miss his dinner. So he jokingly tweeted Morton's Steakhouse and requested that the restaurant show up with a steak when he landed. Morton saw the tweet, discovered that the tweeter was a frequent customer, pulled data on what he typically ordered, identified the flight he was on, and then sent a delivery person to the Newark airport to serve him his dinner. When he got to the reception lobby at the airport, he noticed a man in tuxedo holding a card with his name. The man was also carrying a bag that contained a porterhouse steak, shrimps, potatoes, bread, 2 napkins, and a silverware. So, I mean, think about it. Do you think this guy would go anywhere else? Anybody who is reading about these kind of stories will be like, wow, amazing. Then we have real-time CRM. Organizations are implementing real-time CRM to provide a superior level of customer satisfaction for today's always on, always connected, more knowledgeable, and less loyal customers. So there's always 24/7 help, always something that customers can fall back to in case if they have any questions. Now, moving on to the next topic, supply chains. Modern organizations are increasingly concentrating on their core competencies. Supply chain is the core of a business. It helps you run your business because other people are providing you with goods. Some companies which grow big, they go and buy their entire supply chain. For example, BP takes out his own raw material and refines it and sells it itself, right? It is controlled. The whole pipeline is controlled by the BP. So the businesses of that nature would go out and buy their whole supply chain, or they are supply chains and now they are in retail business as well. So things of that nature. Supply chain also includes the organizations and processes that create and deliver products, information, and services to end customers. Supply chain visibility refers to the ability of all organizations within a supply chain to access or view relevant data on purchased materials as these materials move through suppliers' production processes and transportation networks to their receiving docks. For example, Walmart at one point in time gave all its suppliers access to their inventory. So Procter & Gamble was able to monitor its own inventory in Walmart stores. And they gave them caps. If it hits this low, I need X amount of this. All these formulas were fed in their systems. Walmart wouldn't have to worry about the goods until and unless there was a change, right? Until and unless there's a change. Like now, Procter & Gamble want to introduce like 15 different types of deodorants versus 3. So now we need to come up with a different deal because we only have a limited shelf space. Also, I don't know if you guys know this or not, companies pay different amount of dollar to retailers depending on where their product is put on shelf.
I've heard that before, but I didn't know that that was actually a thing.
Mm-hmm. So if you want your product to be at the eye level, you are paying a little bit more price versus if it's at the low level or way up high there. So accessibility price is what they have to pay if they want their products to have better visibility. Anyway, moving on to the structures and components of supply chain. One of them is upstream, where sourcing or procurement from external supplier occurs. In this segment, supply chain managers select suppliers to deliver the goods and services the company needs to produce its product or services. Internal, where packaging, assembly, or manufacturing takes place. So your supply chain managers schedule the activities necessary for production, testing, packaging, and preparing goods for delivery. They also monitor quality levels, production output, and worker productivity. Thirdly, downstream, where distribution takes place, frequently by external distributors. So in this segment, supply chain managers coordinate the receipt of orders from customers, develop a network of warehouses, select carriers to deliver products to customers, and implement invoicing systems to receive payment from customers. So these are the three different segments of the supply chain. Tiers of suppliers. So tiers of suppliers is where you can see in figure 11.4 that sometimes you need a good, and that good is a raw material for you, but it's a finished good for your supplier. Who has its own supplier and who has his own supplier? For example, if you have a supplier who gives you wood so that you can build furniture. Now that supplier who's providing you with wood may not necessarily grabs it from the forests and processes it to become a lumber so that they can supply it to you. So they may have their own suppliers. So things of that nature, you know, so tiers of suppliers. So the flow in the supply chain, material flows are the physical products, raw materials and supplies that flow along the chain. Materials flow into also include the reverse flows discussed earlier. A supply chain thus involves a product life cycle approach from dirt to dust. Finally, financial flows involve money transfers, payments, credit card, and other things, how things will be paid for. Supply chain management, page 355. The function of supply chain management is to improve the process a company uses to acquire the raw material it needs to produce a product or service and then deliver that product or service to its customers. So it needs to do planning. It needs to be able to figure out the sourcing component where organizations choose suppliers to deliver the goods and services they need so that they can create their product. And then they need to make it, then they need to deliver it, and then they need to handle the returns. That's basically what goes behind the scene. Supply chain management systems are a type of inter-organizational information system. In an inter-organizational information system, or information flows among two or more organizations. By connecting the information system of business partners, inter-organizational information systems enable the partners to perform many tasks, including reducing the cost of routine business transactions, improving the quality of information flowing by reducing and eliminating errors, compress the cycle time involved in fulfilling the product, eliminating paper processing, make the transfer and processing easier for everybody. Then it talks about the push and the pull model. Many supply chain management systems employ the push model. In this model, also known as make to stock, the production process begins with a forecast, which is simply an educated guess as to customer demands, how much customer will need. You simply make that much and stock. Unfortunately, if these forecasts are incorrect, you will have a surplus at hand. Your inventory cost will increase. Your stocking and shelving cost will increase. And then where is a pull model? In the pull model, also known as make to order, okay? Instead of make to stock. The production process begins when the customer places an order. Now, for example, some businesses like Target, some of their products are actually built on pull model. The product is there, but they don't have it in inventory. Every time you place an order, they say, okay, the product will be delivered to you in 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Same goes with some of the corporations that are selling computers. They do the same thing. They have a pull model. They don't have the pre-built computers. You place an order, then they start building one. And then they ship it to you. So the time may be more, but they reduce their costs that way. And an example would be Dell, for example, which works on a pull model. Okay, not everything, but mostly. Moving on to page number 359, problems along the supply chain. Friction can develop within a supply chain. One major consequence of friction is poor customer service. In some cases, supply chains do not deliver products or services when and where customers, either individuals or businesses, need them. So the problems along the supply chain arise primarily from two sources: uncertainties and the need to coordinate multiple activities, internal units, and business partners. All of these could affect your supply chain. One major challenge that managers face in setting accurate inventory levels throughout the supply chain is known as the bullwhip effect, which refers to erratic shifts in orders up and down the supply chain. Basically, the variables that affect customer demand can become magnified when they are viewed through the eyes of managers at each link in the supply chain. For example, if you are expecting customers to spend X amount of dollars, but there has been some drastic change locally, which is now compelling people to not spend the kind of money that they would spend with you, and rather they would spend it elsewhere, which is a much higher need for them. So anyway, moving on to solutions to supply chain problems. Supply chain problems can be very costly. Therefore, organizations are motivated to find innovative solutions. During the oil crisis in the 1970s, for example, Ryder Systems, a large trucking company, purchased a refinery to control the upstream part of the supply chain and to ensure it had sufficient gasoline for its trucks. So this would be an example of vertical integration, where a business strategy in which company purchases its upstream suppliers to ensure that its essential supplies are available as soon as the company needs them. Similarly, some of them will have the just-in-time inventory system. So as you purchase, as you make an order with the company, that's when they will start their supply chain. They will go ask their supplier, I need X amount of items. And then their supplier will send those items to them. Then they will start building your stuff. They would not put much in inventory. They will only have enough in inventory for their operations to run, but they wouldn't stock up items. Although JIT offers many benefits, it has certain drawbacks as well. To begin with, suppliers are expected to respond instantaneously to your requests, but the problem is, in these times especially, suppliers are also low on supplies. They will not wait for you. If anybody else comes in, they'll just give those to them. And now you have order come in, you've accepted the order, but you don't have supplies to deliver the goods. As a result, you may either ask the person that wait, back order, or they may ask for a refund. Either way, if you are continuously falling in the refund hole, you probably may not survive for long. Okay, so JIT also replaces a few large supply shipments with larger number of smaller ones. Oh, rain checks, right? Rain checks. I don't know how many of them do that anymore. Some of them still did it till before COVID, but I don't know if they do it now. CVS, I know for sure, did rain check before COVID, because I've seen little postings at CVS, rain checks. I don't know now. And Walgreens does that too? Okay. One notable example of information sharing occurs between large manufacturers and retailers, and here's an example where Walmart provides Procter & Gamble with access to daily sales information from every store for every item that Procter & Gamble makes for Walmart. That's another thing. If you have a bigger volume, then these companies will make stuff for you. I don't know, around holiday season or sometimes if there is a toy, if there is a movie out there based on some kind of toys, and then they're selling those toys at Target, you will find on the box it says only at Target. So it's basically a customized product just made for Target, because Target is buying tons of them, not one or two or 1 or 200. We're talking about in thousands they're buying, and it's an ongoing product. So inventory, so vendor managed inventory occurs in that particular case. Then comes information technology support for supply chain management. Clearly, SCM systems are essentials to the successful operation of many businesses. And as you have seen, these systems and iOS in general rely on various forms of IT to resolve problems. 3 technologies in particular provide support for these systems: electronic data interchange, extranets, and web services. EDI, for the most part, was extremely useful, because what EDI will do, businesses, before they start working together, will exchange information. And that will become the norm of their transaction processing. And they will then work on the same principle. The bigger problem occurs in EDI when you have to go outside of your country. Europe, for example, has different EDI rules than America. So then you would have to figure out how you would do your, but that basically reduces a lot of this traffic that would happen without EDI. So that's one way. Extranets allow you to create a VPN connection from one area to another, maybe between businesses or within a business, and you would have access to the information. Another would be, I mean, like it could be an industry's extranet. For example, there's the banking network where banks can communicate with each other, or it could be between the business partners and things like that. Then we have portals and exchanges. So in chapter 6, we learn about corporate portals, where you log in once and then you have access to all the resources, which are usually browser based. But in the context of B2B supply chain management, these portals enable companies and their suppliers to collaborate very closely. Then we have emerging technologies, like logistic experts predict that several technologies will significantly impact supply chain by 2025. For example, robotics, drones, autonomous driverless vehicle, and 3-dimensional printing. Now, as far as robotics is concerned, autonomous vehicles are concerned, and 3-dimensional printing, all 3 of them we have at Gateway. We have a special program through Racine where we are doing some work on the autonomous vehicles or driverless vehicles. And that is controlled mainly from the IMED Center, when we have a dedicated person who does that. And he's the same person that works on the robotics too. Okay, moving on to the end of the chapter. We are very close to the class closing time. So this is, let me see, a slightly bigger case here. Let me go for a little bit of a smaller case for you guys to look into. Let's see. Wow, that's big too. Wow. Okay, I'll assign you this one. It's all about business 11.3, page 351. Read this one and then put your answers for question number 1 in the chat.
Can you tell me what page that was again? I'm just
Three-
trying to,
352. 352, that is 11.3, 351, 352. It's about business 11.3. So yes, for those of you who have written the responses, so yes, it is a time-consuming activity that could not be performed timely enough for the reviews and recommendations to be kept current in the real-time environment. So yes, loading things manually took too much time. Now, moving on to the last item for today, just so that we are all on the same page. Happy Thanksgiving, first of all, to all of you. And I will be making the class recording link available here. This week, we went over 2 chapters. That means you have 2 assignments, 10 and 11, and you have 2 quizzes, chapters 10 and 11. All items are due in 2 weeks. So all the items are due by December 1st. So that's why the due date you'll find will be December 1st. And we are not meeting next week because of the Thanksgiving. So December 1st will be our last class before the final exam. So December 1st, we will be going over chapters 12 and 13, similar to today's class, where we went over 2 chapters the same night. Anybody has any questions?
Yes.
Yes, Desmond, go ahead.
Will the Packers win tonight?
Say it again.
Will the Packers win tonight?
I don't know. That's the last thing I'm concerned about.
No, just yeah, enjoy your holiday, man.
Thank you.
Just spend time with the family and you know, take a little time off, take a little breather.
Yeah, I'll try. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention was that, as you guys are aware, that the spring 2023 classes are up. People have started registering. For example, IBM Control Language, it has 2 sections. The evening sections have only 2 spots remaining. The daytime section still has 9 spots remaining. For Java programming, we have a wait list. As I told, I don't know if I told you guys or not. Last week, I think I told my Friday evening class that we have already placed a request with the Dean's office to approve to add an evening section of Java. As that section is added, then I will send out an email to all of you in this class, in all my first semester classes, asking you that if you want to move over to the evening one, you can do that. And for the internet programming, you can see the same thing, that there is a wait list of 5 people. And we have also placed a request for another evening section to be added. Once that request is fulfilled and everything gets finalized, we'll send out an email for everybody who wants to register for an evening section. They can do that. So just so that you know, those things are in the pipeline. Okay. So yeah, just wanted to update you guys on that one.
Would that fall under software development
What?
and internet
Yeah,
programming?
yeah. Both of them are software development classes.
Okay.
Yeah, internet programming and Java programming. And we only had 1 section for each one of them. So, and they were daytime. People were asking for an evening one. So that's why I asked everybody to go register for that day one. That will create a wait list, and then wait list can help me escalate it to the Dean's office, asking them for another section to be open. And then we will be able to open an evening one, and then you can transition to an evening one if evening works better for you.
Yeah, I'll go register for the day one then. Because I only got 2 classes and I want a third one.
Yeah, so you know, that's what it is. The more we have in the wait list, the stronger the case gets. And then we can ask for another section, and then people can move to whichever section they prefer to take the classes in. Okay, Tristan, what is considered the official second year? Well, this class, IT in Business, is not a direct prerequisite for only one class, right? So this class, along with some of the other classes, may be prerequisites. For that, you need to visit the programs curriculum sheets. So when you open the curriculum sheet, it tells you right here that 107011, which is IT in business, is a core rec to IBM Enterprise Systems concepts. And then that's basically where you will find this. I mean, like, other than that, you don't really see it anywhere else as a prereq. So some of the knowledge you learn in IT and business will be needed in system design and development course, but that's way later in the pipeline.
So the classes for Java programming and internet programming is opened up for the evening classes?
No. I have because of the because of the wait list, I had a case to request to the dean's office to give us approval to add evening section. The request was made today or yesterday, because that's when we had a wait list. When the dean's office gives us an approval, we will then go to the student registration office and ask them to add sections, and then the process will be completed.
Is there gonna be an online section at all, or?
No, it will be an OSync like this one, or a face-to-face. We don't have any 100% online section like async, because the program is not an async program.
Okay, gotcha. So
It
not
will
all
be,
classes are online, is
so
essentially.
yeah, the evening classes are in this format where you have to come to the class on Zoom, and the daytime classes are in person.
Okay, so evening classes are on Zoom.
Yep. So that's,
Okay.
if you're referring to online, yes, that's what.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when you say online, it could also mean no class meeting. You're on your own.
Oh, okay. No, I meant, yeah, evening classes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that
Okay.
that was the whole thing, because people wanted to be able to take the class on Zoom because they sign up for Zoom only path, and we didn't have a Zoom only for those two classes in spring. So because of the wait list, we were able to create a case where we can add a Zoom class for evening for those two classes, and then those who want to take that one can switch over to that one. But to make that happen, we need to have enough people in the wait list for them to approve that.
Gotcha. I understand. Okay, that makes sense. So now we have evening classes. Gotcha. And you're gonna send the email as soon as it,
As soon as those courses are added in the system, and it could be somewhere next week.
okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
And if because of Thanksgiving things are delayed, maybe the first week of December. I don't know.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
No problem. So guys,